안녕하세요. 세상의 다양한 소식을 전하는 지구 별별 뉴스입니다. 구독과 좋아요, 알림 설정은 영상 제작에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 응원해 주셔서 감사합니다. 2000년대 초반에는 폴더폰이 한창 인기였습니다. 특히 추억의 모토로라 폴더폰을 사용했던 세대라면 딸깍 하면서 열리는 폴더폰의 매력을 잊지 않으셨으리라 생각됩니다. 2019년 삼성과 모토로라는 화면이 접히는 폴더블 스마트폰을 출시하여 큰 주목을 받았습니다. 비싼 가격과 내구성 문제로 많은 이슈도 있었지만 올해 하반기 새로운 모델을 출시할 예정이라고 합니다. 미국의 경제뉴스 전문방송 CNBC에서는 삼성과 모토로라가 폴더블폰 시장에 뛰어든 이유를 분석하였습니다. 폴더블 스마트폰이 발달하게 된 배경과 폴더블 스마트폰의 핵심 기술은 무엇인지, 왜 폴더블 스마트폰을 만드는지에 대해 분석한 영상입니다.
Remember how satisfying it was to flick your Razr phone open or how pocketable it was? Well, the best assets from flip phones are making a comeback in smartphones. Samsung brought folding phones to the US in 2019 with the Galaxy Fold, and Motorola followed suit with its 2020 Razr. Samsung now has a second folding phone in its lineup, the Galaxy Z Flip. Companies like Royale, Huawei, and Xiaomi all have folding smartphones available or in the pipeline, and even Apple is speculated to have one in the works. But why? Why has the smartphone industry brought this form factor back from the dead?
The reasons that manufacturers are bringing out folding phones aren't necessarily because consumers are saying, I want these and I need these.
And at a price point of well over $1,000 with few models holding up to durability tests, who are these phones really for? There was a lot of satisfaction to folding phones. They were compact and fun to use, but since we've gravitated to larger, non-flip phones, our options have been more or less these thin glass and metal rectangles.
On one hand, consumers have issues that they see that smartphones are just too big when they want to carry around in their pockets, but when they open them up, they enjoy a larger smartphone. And then the folks who already are comfortable with a larger smartphone, they want to be able to do more on these smartphones by unfolding them to turn them into a tablet.
That could be one of the reasons why the form factor is making a return. But to get to where we are today with folding smartphones, two technologies had to be fine-tuned: the hinge and the flexible OLED display. The Kyocera Echo gave users the first look at a commercially available dual-screen smartphone in 2011. It used a patented pivot hinge to lift the top screen up and away from the bottom screen, creating a device that looked like a really small tablet. The phone was not well liked by reviewers, but it paved the way for companies to create innovative hinges, which is a key component in folding smartphones.
Normally with the hinge, especially back in the early 2000s, late 90s, you didn't really have to worry about much except for maybe keeping the phone closed and not getting anything in it. Today you have to worry about a lot more.
Then in 2013, Samsung showed off its Yoon concept, a flexible OLED display that was plastic instead of glass. The company later used this technology in its Galaxy S6 Edge smartphone, curving the OLED display around the corner of the screen. This is the technology it then developed into its folding smartphones.
The number one most expensive technology on this entire device is the foldable displays. And as companies like Samsung get better at manufacturing them and manufacturing them at lower cost, they can then take those lower costs to the consumers.
Thanks to these advancements, there are many folding phones on the market today. The Royale FlexPi was technically the first folding smartphone to hit the consumer market, but the Samsung Galaxy Fold was the phone that stole the show. Motorola also became a contender with its revitalized Razr phone. That phone in particular drew excitement thanks in part to nostalgia. Now Samsung has its second folding smartphone, the Galaxy Z Flip, which the company touted as the first phone with bendable glass. See, those two technologies, the hinges and the flexible screens, that were so crucial in the popularization of folding phones are also the two things that screw up the most. Plastic or otherwise, quote, soft screens, along with dust-prone hinges, have wreaked havoc on these phones. The Samsung Galaxy Fold was riddled with display issues when it was released.
And our first one broke, for example, and we weren't really sure if the second one would, even after our testing period after about a week or so.
The company claimed users were removing the protective layer on top of the screen, which destroyed the delicate OLED underneath. Samsung had to pause production, delay the release date, and make some changes to the phone. When the updated phone was released, it was better, but still delicate. The Galaxy Fold costs $1,980, the Motorola Razr costs $1,500, and the Galaxy Z Flip costs $1,380. So, we've developed the technology, we've prototyped it, and developed it into a pretty extensive lineup of phones available to consumers. Now what?
We've gotten into a situation where smartphones, aside from maybe the photography adders that have been put in there, aren't very exciting.
With decreasing global smartphone shipments, it's very likely these companies are trying to spice up the market. These shipments grew steadily from 2009 to 2016, but since then, shipments have been steadily declining. Samsung and Motorola have not released sales figures for their folding phones, but the Galaxy Fold was expected to sell 400,000 to 500,000 units in 2019. When compared to JP Morgan's iPhone 11 shipment forecast of 184 million units in the same year, Samsung's Fold is not a financial contender. But Moorhead says these folding phones are still profitable because they cost more than flagship phones.
If I look at the bill of materials, even though I said the folding display is the most expensive device, these companies are making a killing. And I think that's good for the industry because it's really hard to make profits on smartphones.
Even Apple filed patents for some folding technology, but nothing has been announced yet. If Apple did hit the market with a folding phone, it could change the trajectory of the folding phone future.
I think if it introduced a foldable display and it was ready and did a good job at it, it might help boost the adoption of foldable products simply because it's Apple and it has a lot of customers.
Almost 40% of Galaxy Fold customers were ex-iPhone customers, and that's really hard to do.
But there are some important changes that need to be made first.
First, I think they need to be thinner so that when you fold them down, they're nice and thin in your pocket and not bulky. Second, the price needs to come down, and I think that'll eventually happen as manufacturing ramps up and as they're able to perfect the process. And third, I think they need to become more durable.
I'm also not just looking at what's in front of my face. I'm looking at what it could become and what are the current challenges today.
When the iPhone was released in 2007, it changed the world. Smartphones were to become almost ubiquitous 10 years later. When Apple dropped the headphone jack, it changed the way we connect to our phones. Wireless headphones are now everywhere. When phone companies ditched physical buttons on smartphones, it changed the form factor we were used to. Now, you'd be hard-pressed to find a flagship phone that has a physical button on its front. But it's hard to see a future where folding phones are the norm, at least with what we're seeing right now.
I think the Galaxy Z Flip, even though it's expensive, is as close to there as we are right now, but we're not there yet.
I absolutely don't believe this is a fad, this is a trend, and to me it's very natural.